Bonjour les étudiants and welcome to this video for La Semaine 23. So today I have a full house. As you can see, Monty's in the background over in his tirith. He's the little orange thing that you can barely see in the little house part. Anyways, and of course I have Gemma, who is right here, who is holding her pacifier and looking kind of intensely at me. Oh, she's smiling. Here, let me show you guys. Let's see if I can get her smiling. Hey Gemma, you can smile for the étudiants. You can smile for them? No? Oh? Come on. Maybe? Okay, if she smiles again, I'll let you guys know and I'll show you. But anyways, yeah, so she's doing good. She's getting big. 8 pounds, 5 ounces on Monday. And she's here to help, just like Monty, who's kind of sleeping, but you know, c'est la vie. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so today we're going to learn about something new, les articles participitifs. Now, these are something that you may have noticed showing up whenever we talk about different things, especially with the food when you were looking last week at the different vocabulaire. But they're kind of cool. It's kind of like we have les articles définis, if you remember, so le, la, les. We have les articles indéfinis, en, une, des, and these are another kind that they use that express specifically quantity. They're kind of like the way that we use some or any, but the thing is, just like with other articles en français, they use them in front of everything, tous les choses. Unlike English, where we just say, you know, sometimes the thing without an article. Now, these are going to be a little bit different. So you have du for masculine, de la for feminine, and then de le, of course, if there's a vowel. And then the nice thing is the plural is always the same, just like le, or I'm sorry, les and de, we have day. It's just like this. Voila. And as you can hear, Gemma's snorting. No snorting, Gemma. Here's your passing. She's looking so grumpy at me. Anyways, an important thing to remember is it always is going to agree with the number and gender of the noun that it's talking about. So let's take a look at some examples. Remember how I said last week that tu prends, you take a meal? Well, in this part, you can see qu'est-ce que tu prends au petit déjeuner? So what do you have for breakfast? What do you take for breakfast? So you'll notice, je bois, remember that from last week? I drink. So you can drink du café. Now, café is masculine. So instead of saying le café, they wouldn't say the coffee. I'll explain why in a moment. They would say du café. I drink some coffee. Or je bois du jus d'orange. I drink some orange juice. Je bois de l'eau. Notice that since this one starts with a vowel, they do the L with the apostrophe. Or, of course, for, I don't know how you would drink yogurt. But evidently they do en France, and so evidently they have it a little runnier than we do. So, je bois du yogurt. Yeah, it's said about the same way, even though you have extra letters. Or je bois du lait, so milk, things like that. So notice, masculin, we do du. If it's féminin, we do de la. If it's plural, as you'll see in a moment, it's going to be de. So things that je mange, you eat. Du pain, which is bread. Bread is masculine, so it's du pain. Des fruits. So notice it's des because there's multiple kinds of fruit going on here. Des céréales, for those of you who are cereal fans, like Monsieur Cannon. Or des cressons. Oh, you knew that was coming, didn't you? Or, here's something that's very important to know, because in France they eat a lot of bread. Actually, I was doing some reading during the French Revolution. They actually, on average, ate like 2 pounds of bread a person a day. It's crazy. So, bread is serious business over there. So, qu'est-ce que tu mets dans le pain? So, what do you have? Oh, it's okay, Gemma. What do you have on your bread? So, Met is to put something on something. So, je mets, don't worry too much about that right now. Du fromage, so du, fromage is masculine. Du beurre, butter, masculine. Fromage, of course, is cheese. De la confiture, which as you can see, hopefully, is like jelly or jam, things like that. And you'll notice this one's feminine because it's de la. Or des œufs, eggs. I like to do that in the morning. De l'avocat, avocados. De olives noires ou vertes, so olives that are black olives, noir, or green olives, vert. Du jambon, masculine again, which is ham, or de la charcuterie, and charcuterie is basically any deli meats. So notice how they use it in front of toutes les choses. All of them are going to have an article partitif, and that is a very important thing to remember. Now, a little more of an explanation of what we do with them. We use les articles partitifs when something is measurable but not countable. So, I have a handful of M&Ms. I can count how many M&Ms I've got. So I can say, je mange 5 M&Ms. I ate 5 M&Ms. But when it comes to like tea or actually we have a whole list here. Viande, which is meat, chocolat, which of course you should know what that is. Chocolate, of course. Lait, which is milk. Sucre, which is sugar. Glace, ice cream. Eau, which is water. Beurre, butter. Pain, which is bread, which, yeah, you can have a loaf of bread, but you know, just trust me. Temps, which is time, and argent, money. Those are all things that are measurable, but they're not necessarily countable in their mind. So these kinds of things are things that you always use les articles partitifs with. So, par exemple, avez-vous du thé? Do you have some tea? Or do you have tea? This specifies that some. We want some tea. We don't want like tons of tea. We don't want all of the tea in the whole wide world. We just want some. Or je voudrais du sucre. I would like some sugar. Je voudrais is a phrase that I'll be teaching you soon. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, notice that they put du here. In English, we might just say, would you like sugar? In French, though, they're always going to specify with the du, de la, or de, because it means basically some or any. It's not implied in French like it is in English. Now, when something is countable or considered a whole, we use les articles indéfinis instead. So, par exemple, après le dîner, je prends un thé. So after dinner, I have a cup of tea. It's a measurable thing. Yes, I know that we just had some tea on the other page. Tea and coffee, other drinks are or specifically tea and coffee, are one of those things that you can have one of them. So you can say un thé. Other things, not so much. Or je mange un sandwich chaque semaine. I eat a sandwich every day. You eat the whole sandwich, just like this guy with this whole sandwich. I don't know why there's like smelly things coming off of it or little flies, but I thought it was a funny picture. So, you know, c'est la vie. Anyways, un is what you're going to use, or une or des for these kinds of things. So if they're considered a whole or they're countable. Now you can also use les articles définis when you're using particular words. And it's only with these words, and I'll explain why in a second. So it's aimer, which is to like, préférer, which is to prefer, which we'll talk about in a minute, adorer, which is to adore, this is just a regular ER verb, and détester, to like detest something, also a regular ER verb, so you can conjugate those the same way you would aimer. So, par exemple, j'adore le thé. I love tea. And I get to drink a whole lot more of it now that I've had the baby, and it is fantastic. Anyways, so notice it's I like the tea, just tea in general, and that's perfectly fine to say. I wouldn't say j'adore un thé because it means something completely different. So yeah, when you're using these words, these words here, you always are going to use défini. Another example, beaucoup de Français mangent du fromage après le repas, et moi, j'aime mieux le fromage. Now you might be wondering, why do we have both of these in the sentence? Well, that's because of what I'm saying. Many French people eat cheese, so some cheese. They eat some cheese, they don't eat a cheese, they don't love the cheese, they eat cheese, so we're going to use du ici after a meal, and I love cheese. Now because I have the word love, aimer, I'm going to put the definite article, le. Does it make sense? Yeah, so that's how that works. Okay, so obviously you've got to be wondering, what happens if you say something like, je mange le beurre avec le pain? I eat the bread with the butter. Well, in French, they're going to look at you funny because they are going to think you're the weirdest human being in the world. In French, it means you're going to eat all the butter in the whole wide world, and I do mean all the butter in the whole wide world, on all the bread in the whole wide world. And I know it sounds utterly ridiculous, but when it comes to, I mean, every language has different things like that, and that is theirs. So don't say that unless you want people to look at you really, really funny, and they will, really funny. So, yeah. All right, now what happens when the sentence is negative? Because this does happen. Unless the article partitif follows être, because être, of course, is going to throw things off. It just becomes de, as weird as that is. So, par exemple, je bois du lait, I drink some milk, becomes je ne bois pas de lait. So notice this is just de. Now, this is one of those things I don't want you to stress out too hard about, but I want you to be aware of it because if you ever say, I don't like something, or I don't eat something, then, or specifically if I don't eat something, obviously if you like something or don't like something, it's different, then, yeah, you need to know how to do this. So another example, tu prends de l'eau. So you drink some water, or tu ne prends pas d'eau. Now notice that because this is, of course, starting with a vowel, it's still de, oo, but you know them. They're not going to put that together. That's awful. So they take out that, add their apostrophe, and that's where that comes from. We also have vous mangez des carottes. Now, this is like if you're talking about my mom's pugs. They eat tous les carottes. All the carrots in the whole wide world. I'm just kidding. They think that they do. Anyways, so if you don't eat carrots, vous ne mangez pas des carottes. So you'll notice all of these change. Now the only exception is when you have être. So, ce sont des pears, des poires. So these are some pears, basically. If you're saying that it's not pears, you're gonna leave this alone because it's a little bit different in the sentence structure. So it'd be ce ne sont pas des pears. So this is the only case where it doesn't change. But like I said, don't stress out too much about it. But I do want you to know that this exists and that this happens, so that way when you run across it, or if you write something and need to use it, then you know that it's like that. Now, what happens when you don't want any more of something? You've had a ton of it, and you're done. You would use ne plus instead of ne pas. Now remember, it's negative, so we're going to add de afterwards. Okay? So, par exemple, je n'ai plus de thé. I don't have any more tea. I don't. I'm sorry, I ran out. And notice, because it's negative, I put de. And because I'm saying I don't have any more, it's plus, ici. Another example, ils ne boivent plus de boissons gazeuses. They don't drink any, or they don't drink any more sodas, pops, however you want to say it, carbonated drinks. It's literally carbonated drink en français. But notice it's ne plus, no more, and then de. ici. Now here's some other expressions that we can use with quantity, and all of these are going to use de. And it's kind of funny because some of these you're going to recognize from times that we've talked before. So par exemple, she orders chocolate. Il commande du chocolat. So notice we have du. This is a normal sentence. So she orders some chocolate, and here's some chocolate just for you guys. And as you can see, it's got flowers, so it's like Valentine's Day friendly, even though that's a couple weeks ago. Anyways, first phrase that we would use de with instead of do is combien de. So remember back when we were learning about questions and how we had combien de, how much, how many of blank was whatever. Well, that's one of our phrases that we use de with. So combien de chocolat est-ce qu'elle commande? How much chocolate does she order? I mean, seriously, we might need to know this. This is important stuff. And so we can answer that with all kinds of different things. So, and all of these are going to use de. So, elle commande un peu de chocolat. She orders a little bit of chocolate. So here's our de again. So un peu is a little bit. Elle a assez de chocolat. She orders enough chocolate. Or I'm sorry, she has enough chocolate. Yeah. Assez de, enough of something. Or, of course, elle commande un verre de chocolat chaud, like ici, which you can't see that arrow very well, but c'est la vie. So she orders a cup of hot chocolate, un verre de. So a cup of something is always going to be a phrase with de. Now this is a phrase that you've learned before a little bit. Elle commande beaucoup de chocolat. Beaucoup de. It's always going to be de. So she orders a lot of chocolate, like this. Or, if you want to take it to the next level, elle commande trop de chocolat. She orders too much chocolate. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily an actual thing that you can do, but if you ever find it, then trop de is our phrase for that. Oh, just in case you want a gem update, she is like fast asleep now, so no smiles. I'm sorry. I'll let you know if she changes her mind though. All right, so prendre and boire, these are things that we learned last week. So I want you to take a moment to practice them and then double check yourself to make sure that you remember how to conjugate them. If you need to take another look at how to conjugate them, the video from last week will walk you through it. All right, this is just an overview again of how we use it. Just a review. So again, feel free to pause the video, take a look at it. But it's the same as what we discussed last week. So if you want to review that a little more closely, take a look at last week's video. And the same with this. Remember how we had prendre, so apprendre, to learn, comprendre, and then some of the different ways that we can use apprendre, because of course, you can do some really cool stuff with it. So again, from last week, so yeah, you know what to do if you want to check it out a little closer. And then we've got this too. And this is just a lovely looking thing, isn't it? I mean, seriously, it's making me hungry. Just look at it. All right, so today we're going to learn another verb, and it is préférer, to prefer. Now, the reason we need to learn this is because, I mean, seriously, it's important to know how to say that you prefer one thing over another, especially when you're talking about food. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice about this is it completely conjugates normally, but the thing that's going to change are the accent marks. So notice that we have accent aigu when you have just the infinitive, the unconjugated version of the verb. That's going to change as you go through it. So, let me erase that. All right, so we have je préfère, and notice that it kind of makes like a hat. So we have accent aigu, accent grave, right there. Tu préfères, accent aigu, accent grave. Il préfère, accent aigu, accent grave. Then you're going to notice that nous and vous are going to be just like the actual infinitive. So, nous préférons, accent aigu, accent aigu. Vous préférez, accent aigu, accent aigu. And il préfère, accent aigu, accent grave. So notice that a lot of times whenever it comes to verbs, these three and this one tend to be similar. And if there's going to be a difference, usually it's with nous and vous. This is the case here as well. In this case, though, it's nous and vous that are acting kind of on the normal side, and it's everybody else who's being weird. So just the most important thing to remember, however it helps you remember. So if you want to remember, these ones have little houses as well as this one, or, you know, so hats. I've heard people say it's hats. So whatever helps you remember, just remember they conjugate like a normal ER verb, but you have to pay close attention to where your accents are. Très, très important. All right, so some similar verbs to that. We have répéter, to repeat, espérer, to hope, célébrer, which is to celebrate, and considérer, to consider. Now you'll notice that espérer and considérer, the E still changes like the second one in préférer. So it's going to do the down, 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 up, down thing, basically. So, for example, j'espère, you'll notice that it does the down because with je, it's grave. Nous espérons, you're going to notice it goes up, aigu, because of its nous. Il considère, you'll notice it's grave because it's il. And so, yeah, that's how that goes. And I know it's a little tricky, especially when it comes to this one and this one, since they don't have both there. Just remember, though, this acts like the second one. That's why we even mention it in the first place. And somehow I missed it, but that is our last slide. So if you have any questions, if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. And I'll give you one last look at Gemma, okay? Because she's being really cute right now. Here you go. All fast asleep with her arm out. It's really cute. So there you go. I will let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will see you guys soon. Au revoir.